Perhaps you're a new Remedyforce customer that has seen the Remedyforce demos and was very impressed with some of the service requests that were available in self-service. Perhaps you thought, wow, I really like this. How can I create something as nice and organized as that? Well, you can. This video series was designed to walk you through the basic steps you need to follow in order to create your very first request definition. These videos will also highlight some of the advanced functionalities that you can do with service requests. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Mike Levier. I am a Senior Business Relationship Manager for the Remedyforce product here at BMC Software, and I'll be your host that will guide you through these videos on how to create a request definition. Now let me start by explaining the format that was chosen for this video series. If you're new to Remedyforce and to ITIL, I would strongly suggest that you watch the entire video series in the order in which they were recorded. And the reason for this is because I'll start by explaining some of the terminology that's used in the product, followed by the planning of your request definition, and finally a step-by-step demo on creating an actual request definition. However, if you're an experienced Remedyforce user or administrator, or perhaps a service owner that's looking for tips or suggestions on how to plan and manage your services, feel free to skip to the selected video that may be of help to you. So let's begin. As I mentioned, I'll be breaking this video down in three areas: the terminology used in the product and how it relates to ITIL, the planning of a service request, and that'll be done in two phases: the front end, which is what's visible to the client, and then the back end, what's not visible to the client. Followed by the creation of a service request. Again, this will be done in two phases, but this time we'll cover the back end first, what's not visible to the client, followed by the front end, what is visible to the client. Now, it can literally take you under a minute to create a simple service request. You can clone an existing one, rename it, make minor adjustments to it, and you're done. You can also create one from scratch in under 10 minutes. But what if you want to create one that has an approval process, additional tasks to other departments, and dynamic questions? It can take you a little longer. So all of this will depend on the planning. Planning is key when creating a request definition. However, in order to be successful at planning, you must first understand the terminology being used. If you're new to Remedyforce and to ITIL, some of the language may scare you. You may not understand some of the terms or why it's even important for a simple request definition. So let's go through some of the terms so you can understand what they mean. Let's cover the big one first. What is a service request? Well, according to ITIL v3, a service request is defined as a formal request from a user for something to be provided. For example, a request for information or advice. So in other words, a service request is raised when you want to procure something that you don't already have in the first place. It might be access to a system, requesting a new printer, or upgrading to a higher version of the software that you're currently using. Unlike an incident request, which, according to ITIL, is defined as an unplanned interruption to an IT service or a reduction in the quality of an IT service. So basically, something that's not working or not working like it's supposed to. So it's very important to understand these differences when creating your service request, because our next word of the day is service. What is a service? Well, ITIL defines a service as a means of delivering value to customers by facilitating outcomes customers want to achieve without the ownership of specific costs and risks. In other words, when we do something for another party that gives them something that they want or value, we're providing them with a service. Generally speaking, because our clients want the benefits and value of email, install software or storage or wireless networking, but don't want to take on the burden of managing those type of things, the teams that are responsible to set that up will be providing that service. Now, let's look at another term that will come up when we create our service requests. Service offerings. What are service offerings? Well, service offerings are used to create refined levels of service for existing business services. A service offering comes from a business service, customizing the parent business service to a specific business need. So it's like a sub-service to an existing service. Let's look at an example. Let's say your organization offers two levels of provisioning. Perhaps one is more of a standard offering for hardware software. However, you may have another type of provisioning service that's more executive, offering the same as a standard, but this one may include some sort of availability guarantee, kind of like guaranteeing to have it within 3 days. This type of service may also include a higher fee. Now, these terms that we've just covered will come in handy when we plan and design our request definitions later in the video. But for now, we're going to table this and we're going to jump into the next phase of our project, planning the front end of our service requests.